So, you see the video length. You see the video title. Yes, this is another compilation. Now, this is to commemorate 2024 because I started this grind journey in 2024. So, I want to show you the last 11 videos that started this journey. And you may be thinking, well, isn't this a little late? By the time this goes out, this is either February 8th or February 9th. And yes, it is. And that's because my first compilation video did honestly fairly well and got an insane amount of watch hours. So I was like, you know what? Why not do it again?
Hell no! Trash ass nigga!
Don't sue me. Don't sue me. I'm sorry. But if y'all do enjoy this compilation video of some of my best videos of 2024, which I will be throwing in a mix of old videos, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on the road to 2K. But enjoy this comp. You will never arrive at the truth that will occur. None who stand before me shall ever do so, no matter what abilities they may wield. Those are the words of Golden Experience Requiem. Not Giorno, Golden Experience Requiem. This is a long overdue video, I feel like, because I really need to break down how purely strong Golden Experience Requiem really truly is. For one thing about Golden Experience Requiem is all of its stats are question marks or nullified. The stand is so strong its stats don't matter. Golden Experience Requiem got to keep its original abilities so it can still turn things into live creatures like money into a frog or rocks into a scorpion. It also has the ability to fire things at such a fast rate it becomes invisible to the human eye, and made Giorno levitate off its pure strength and power. Its hacks are so unbelievable. That's the main reason I think it's probably either the strongest or the second strongest stand in the universe, honestly. But that's nowhere near all. It has Return to Zero. Now, what Return to Zero does essentially is before you can touch it, hit it, anything like that, it just goes back to before you even moved. On top of that, to make matters worse, you're literally fighting the stand. You're not fighting Giorno anymore. At this point, the stand user really doesn't matter. Requiem is what matters. And Golden Experience Requiem, it's a sentient stand. It's every stand type, literally, by definition. Don't let Golden Experience Requiem catch you, because it will. It's automatic stand too, so if you serve as a danger to Giorno, it will catch you. For example, the death loop. The whole way the death loop works is that first it kills you in reality, then from there on it reverses you right back to zero. And from then on, any reality that you are a part of or in, you just keep dying. You keep dying because you're reverted back to zero every time you pass, creating a new reality and a reality you just can't live in or just have a regular life. Your reality is set by you dying. There are very few anime characters I think that can even beat Golden Experience Requiem if there are that many. I've seen people say Gojo. All I have to say to that is no, no, no. And the thing is, it doesn't control its power. It literally is on 10 anytime the power is used. Giorno, he has no control of what we've seen. We only saw 4 chapters, granted, but he doesn't have much control over that. As a matter of fact, when Golden Experience was literally talking to Diablo, he was literally like, Giorno does not know anything that's going on right now. I feel like Gojo really just doesn't have a chance. Another thing with Golden Experience is that narratively, it's meant to be this unbeatable, strongest moment in the series. This unbeatable, strongest stand that no one can touch, no one can stop. Your best bet is to pray that it doesn't come for you. Kind of like Tusk Act 4, which that's a whole video of itself one day. But Giorno having Golden Experience is probably a part of the reason why he wasn't in part 6. If he had shown up pre-Made in Heaven, he would have just killed Pucci. Sea Moon wasn't that strong. White Snake wasn't that strong. And even Pucci with Made in Heaven, he had no chance to beat Giorno at all. Golden Experience Requiem just didn't see him as a threat because Made in Heaven didn't really affect Giorno. He was more than likely just chilling the whole time. But if he was there, what simply would have happened is that he just would have reverted everything to zero, hit Poochie, and then Poochie would have been stuck in the loop pretty easily. I mean, don't get me wrong, it would have been beautiful to see Made in Heaven was an experience, one-on-one clash, just for 1 second, but we all know who would win that clash. But I just wanted to make a quick video explaining one of my favorite stands in JoJo and the most powerful stand in JoJo, Golden Experience Requiem. Until next time, I'll see you. I'm back. Okay, today we are going to talk about, wait, before we get into the video topic, I want to say this. I will try to be more consistent on YouTube. I will say this too, these videos take me a long ass time to edit. So I'm going to try to be more consistent with the school year coming back up. I'm about to go back to high school. It's my last year of high school, it's senior year. Try to be consistent for senior year. I'll try in college. I'll probably pre-record some videos in college and probably like sporadically release them. Whatever. I'll still be somewhat active though. So, okay. In today's video, we are going to talk about what has happened to all of these new gen fans. And when I say this, this is both a good thing and a negative thing. Because when I see the fans, I see one thing. There's a lot more anime, manga, just content in general you can talk about with a lot wider variety of people that you just couldn't when I started watching in 2016. Like when I started, you could watch anime, but to do it in public and to show off that you watch anime, a lot of people just look at you like, what is he watching? What? And it really didn't have to be nothing crazy like that, honestly. When I started watching in 2016, someone would low-key look at you crazy for watching Hunter. What? If it wasn't Dragon Ball or Naruto or one of those big anime, if I'm being honest, in 2016, there weren't too many people that were around my age at that point, which was like about to be middle school, elementary, that watched anime. And if they did, they're watching maybe Attack on Titan. If we're being lucky, maybe Bleach or One Piece. They might just watch anime strictly off of Adult Swim, because I know a lot of you remember Adult Swim was airing anime reruns all the time. But now there's a lot wider variety of fans. Anime as a whole in the West and in the US specifically has grown an ridiculous amount. It's actually insane how much it's grown. But with all that said, here comes the negatives. The negatives is that since it's gotten so much more popular, the fan bases have gotten a lot more toxic. But the difference is between previous toxicity and now toxicity, they're toxic to the point where they don't even want you to enjoy the content you like. And that's one thing I'll say. For anyone watching this, always remember, like what you like. No one should be out here telling you, basically trying to force you to give up on your favorite anime because it was mid. And really what comes with every new anime now is just this immense amount of pushback whenever the anime is about to end, or sorry, manga. It really doesn't matter, anime or manga. Whenever it's about to end, it's an immense amount of pushback. Why? I don't really get it. I don't understand why, like in the slightest. Because most of the time the endings make sense. Like, for example, I don't know if y'all are caught up on Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm not going to go into much about Jujutsu Kaisen, but the new chapter, the new leaks were insane. At the time of recording this, they just dropped, I think last night. They were insane. JJK 267. But I see, it's not that many people, but I see a good amount of people that are just like, oh, Disney Kaisen, what is this? What is this? Oh, this is terrible. Really, they're only saying this because they feel like a character is being brought back with no explanation. Which, if you don't get it, you just didn't read the manga well enough. I don't know what to tell you. And that leads into another point. Reading comprehension is low-key at an all-time low. Not even just reading comprehension, media comprehension as a whole. There's no reason that there's so many plot points in anime that people just don't get when there are really basic plot points. I've had people tell me so much misinformation about JoJo, and I'm like, there's no way we watch the same story, because there's no way you say that. Did you know that Jonathan is actually Star Platinum? No, he's not. No. Jonathan Stan is quite literally still with Dio. Dio has 2 stands in part 3. It doesn't do much. His stand doesn't do much. I'm pretty sure it could predict the future. If I remember correctly, if I can find something that supports me, I'll probably put it up. But that's just one example of bad media comprehension. There's been people that will tell you insane things, and they really, really, truly, truly in their heart believe it. And you just have to look at them like there's no way we read the same manga. Also, another thing is, with the popularity of anime coming through, there's been a lot of division within the anime community itself as a whole, because now the anime community is not, it's not looked at as just a bunch of weirdos that watch anime. It's now looked at as a wide variety of people that watch anime. But with that wide variety comes the people that section themselves into 1 or 2 or 3 specific animes. Now, I've been guilty of doing that. I've done it before. I'm kind of doing it now, but I don't really say anything to other fandoms or really talk about other animes because I don't really care about them that much. That doesn't mean I don't still watch other animes except the 3 animes that I love. No, it means when I come online, and to y'all, most of the time, y'all gonna hear what? JoJo's, Jujutsu Kaisen, Dragon Ball, one of those come out of my mouth. You might hear a seinen or a shoujo come out of my mouth sometimes, but it's like very rare. But I'm saying that to say the overwhelming majority, the overwhelming popularity of people who watch anime, when they segment themselves, they just start hating. Like, they start hating on every other anime, manga. It doesn't matter when it came out. It doesn't matter why it's out. It could be one of the best things that they have ever seen, and they might still hate on it just to keep the gimmick. It's gotten to the point where I don't even like arguing with anime fans online when I post a video on TikTok or even when I post a video here, because there's always going to be someone in the comments that are just like, man, you need to stop watching start watching more of this or more of this or more of this, or oh, JoJo's so mid, why do you watch that? And really it's gotten to a point where it's like, I don't care what you think is mid, I'm the one watching it. How can you sit here and tell me my taste ain't valid when I'm the one watching it? Unless it is literally, and when I say literally, I mean in the literal sense, the weird, because there are a lot of weird anime, but one of the weird, borderline illegal, you will be looked at as a PDF if you were to watch it. Those are the only anime I say, yeah, why are you watching that? Other than that, I feel like you should really enjoy whatever it is that you decide to watch. You know what I mean? You should enjoy, you should love these chapters that are coming out and all this stuff that's coming out, because now it's a lot more accessible. It's a lot easier. I still remember the days in 2016 where I would try to find any episode of an anime and all I see is a corner of the actual screen and the rest of it is just some random background on YouTube. Naruto Shippuden, I'll never forget. And really, how can we make this better? The thing about the anime community is that in real life, it's not that terrible. Of course, there's a lot of weird stuff I see even when I go to school, because I'm still in high school. It's a lot of weird stuff I see where people watch anime or whatever, or how they express watching anime. But that's them. But like online, we got some work to do if we really want the anime community to get better. But really, that's all I had to say. If you liked the video and you stayed the whole way, make sure you subscribe, follow my other socials, and until next time, peace. Okay, we're back. As you can see, we're in a new location. So today's video, we will be talking about why I personally think Stone Ocean lost so much of its hype. In order to get to that, I have to bring you back to 2021. Now, I don't know how many people who watched this video were JoJo fans in 2021, but at the end of 2021, we officially got the first batch, keyword batch, of Stone Ocean episodes. And if you aren't into JoJo like that, I will break it down for you how the parts and stuff go. So basically, within each part, you'll get, they put both of the first two parts together. Then they gave us the third part like a year later. Then they gave us the fourth part like 2 years later. All those parts were relatively small compared to what we get later. Because after the end of part 4, it takes them, I think, 2 years for them to officially announce Golden Wind and 2.5 for them to animate and the episodes start coming out. But when it started coming out, everyone was still chill with it because at the time, JoJo's Bizarre Adventures was still weekly. Now, if you don't know, within the JoJo community, JoJo's Fridays was a really big monumental thing. Like literally, everyone in the JoJo community loved them. They didn't care how long they had to wait. They just loved the fact that weekly, every Friday, for almost 39 fucking weeks, almost an entire year, you're just getting new episodes. They love that. And now we're at Stone Ocean Part 6. Now, what made Stone Ocean different from the other 5 parts is the fact that Netflix, previous to Stone Ocean coming out, during the hiatus in between Part 5 and Part 6, we learned that Netflix bought the distribution rights to JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Now, with the deal, I'm not entirely sure if Netflix will have the distribution rights for JoJo moving forward, so Part 7, Part 8, and Part 9, or if Netflix just has the distribution rights for Part 6. But either way, that was a problem. Now you may ask yourself, how is the person who that's the only way you can stream be a problem? Well, I'll explain. Netflix at the time of which Stone Ocean was coming out, they were still very much in their binge model, you can say. Especially when it came to animes and things of that nature. It wasn't as you see now where you could go on Netflix and see a show like Dan to Dan that is streaming weekly. Back then, Netflix, they were rarely streaming animes weekly. I don't think I remember one that was really streaming weekly. And they were just pumping out seasons or parts to seasons, and they still do that sometimes today. Look at Cobra Kai, they broke that down into what, 2-3 parts for the latest season. But after Netflix had bought Stone Ocean, the rights, the exclusive streaming rights to Stone Ocean, they had decided, hey, we're going to give y'all 13 episodes at a time, and then we're going to disappear. And when I say disappear, I mean disappear. You would go a long time without hearing from Netflix or the official anime account again announcing that another 13 episodes are coming out soon. And with that, that effectively killed at least 40% of the hype that Stone Ocean just had. And the reason I say it killed such a big number is because you remember how I said JoJo Fridays is such a big thing, or was such a big thing within the JoJo community? That really messed up a lot of people and a lot of people's want to watch the new JoJo part. Like, people love JoJo Fridays so much that with all the news that's going on with Still Well Run that we've gotten recently, people are clamoring for weekly episodes to come back, and I'm one of those people. You can bet on it. I'm one of those people. But anyway, that's not everything that happened in Stone Ocean, because there's more. With Stone Ocean, it came at a very weird time in the JoJo series. Around the time when the manga for Stone Ocean came out, people still wanted a male JoJo. You gotta realize, this was the early 2000s by the time Stone Ocean came out, like the super early 2000s. And the author, Hirohiko Araki, He had already been holding off since the mid-90s on making one of his main characters a woman. He almost made Giorno a woman. So this time he put his foot down with his editor, because every time his editor would tell him no. But this time he put his foot down and said, the time is now. And with that happening, I can say that I've seen a good amount of misogynistic JoJo fans, but I've also seen a good amount of JoJo fans that just don't like part 6. So I'm not going to blame everything on misogyny, you know, even though it does play a good deal, because even still till this day, Jolene being one of the most perfect examples of what a Joestar really is, people don't see that and people write her off or just don't talk about her. But that's a whole different discussion. But with that being said, before it even got announced that Netflix was animating it, a lot of people within the JoJo community already didn't want part 6 to get animated. I still remember till this day, there was a fair amount of people saying, oh, let's just skip over part 6 and go straight to part 7. I can't wait no more. What? And the funny thing about saying that is part 6 is unironically probably the most important part within JoJo. You need part 6 for the rest of the series. In the overarching narrative, honestly you do. But part 6 wasn't already a fan favorite. So couple that with the fact that Netflix was taking away something the fans loved in JoJo Fridays. Those two things combined took a massive hit of the hype. But there is one more thing that did affect the actual anime this time. Because the other two things were out of David Productions' control. They don't have any say-so on who distributes the mangas they animate. They have no say-so at all. And they don't have any control over the fans. So if people just don't like the part or they don't like the source material, again, there was nothing David Productions could do. However, when the anime did come out, there was a good amount of people that did still end up watching it on day one who had an issue with the CGI. Now, me personally, I had no issue with it. I watched it. The CGI, admittedly, at first, it threw me off somewhat, but I got used to it, honestly. And really what it seemed like with the CGI, they were just trying to cut costs and save for the big final fight, which they did fantastic on the Made in Heaven arc. And later in the part, they did fantastic. But the CGI, on top of the fact that Netflix is now releasing things in bunches and people never know when the next batch is coming out, on top of the fact that we have to wait 9 months in between batches, on top of the fact people don't like part 6 like that, it created a bad bubble of just things that hindered the hype and the growth of part 6 and just the JoJo anime as a whole. And once those big things really started coming out and everyone started seeing them, people started having more complaints. People started being like, oh, the entrance sucks. Oh, the character design sucks. Oh, the backgrounds are empty. Which, that one threw me off, because I was like, why the fuck do you care about the background? But those three things changed how Stone Ocean was saw in the public eye, to other anime fans, and to a lot of newcomers within the JoJo community who never got a chance to read the manga and just watched the show. And at the time, being a big JoJo creator on TikTok, it was hell to watch. It really was. I saw one of my favorite parts, personal favorite parts, getting slandered to hell. People saying, let's skip it. People saying the CGI sucks. People saying Jolene sucks. The side cast sucks. Jotaro now sucks. It was crazy. Everyone was hating on everything except one character, and that one character being Poochie. The second one is probably Weather Report. And with the fact that we are getting a part soon, most definitely JoJo Day, which if you don't know, that's where they usually announce the parts. They announced Stone Ocean last time at JoJo Day. JoJo Day is coming April 12th, 2025. So be on the lookout that day. We'll probably get the SBR announcement. And remember, when Steel Ball Run does eventually come out, just be patient. Don't hate watch. Yeah, that's all I got for y'all today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see y'all next. Okay, so I'm back. And today I'm going to be explaining one of the most popular issues within the JoJo community that bugs me. and that's regarding the end of part 6 and what it means for part 7. There's a lot of people out here, I'm going to get this out of the way quick and early. There's a lot of people that really do believe that part 7 is caused by Made in Heaven. That is not true in the slightest. If part 7 was caused by Made in Heaven, part 7 would be an entirely different part. I'll say that. And Araki would have told us in some type of interview, oh yeah, part 8 is just the same. It's the same universe. No, nothing is the same. Well, there are some things that are the same, but nothing's the same. What happened at the end of part 6? Breaking it down, Pucci gets Made in Heaven. He gets it. He basically damn near so very close to winning. He doesn't win because an 11-year-old child took his brother's overpowered sand. Love that sand. Love it. We got a moment of appreciation just for that one.
Leave me alone!
Thank you. Now, after Pucci dies, what essentially happens, because Pucci was so close to winning, he is wiped out from the universe we see at the end of part 6 with Irene and all the new part 6 people. Pucci doesn't exist in that universe. That's very important, right? Since Pucci does not exist in that universe, he doesn't kill all the people who he killed before. And they come back in a different body, but they have the same soul. The only difference is Irene, for example, she is not a Joestar. Irene symbolizes the end of the Joestars and the Brandos' 100-something year long rivalry that lasted for centuries. But don't get this wrong. She is not in the part 7 universe. Okay, let's pause right here. What happens in the alternate universe that we see at the end of part 6 is very simple. Pucci's heaven was not completed, it was not fulfilled. Within that heaven, there would still be alternate versions of Jolene. So there'll still be someone, we don't know what her name would be, but it'll be an alternate version of Jolene who has the same soul but doesn't have the stand. However, at the end of part 6, we see the alternate universe with the main part 6 cast that all died coming back, but everything else in that alternate universe is still the same as the original universe we see in parts 1 through 6. So the Joestar history isn't essentially wiped out per se, but Jotaro Kujo and Jolene Kujo don't exist in the Joestar history. And that's where Araki himself has stated he wanted to end parts 1 through 6. He wanted to end the original JoJo universe. And originally, that's how JoJo was going to end. Part 6 was going to be the final definite ending of JoJo. Same with part 3 at one point. Same with part 1 or part 2. But part 6, Araki felt like he could tie everything up, completely finish the Brando Joestar battle, their legacy, which is fair. I like that. But he kind of did something with that same legacy in part 5 with just the existence of Giorno Giovanna. Also, one thing I wanted to add is that I've literally talked about this same topic on my TikTok. And the reason I'm even making this video now is because when I made the videos on my TikTok, I didn't like fully break it down, or I kind of break it down. I gave it a shorter explanation. And there was some people that just still didn't get it, you know what I mean? Or there was people that were like, oh, part 6 is still directly connected to part 7. No, it's not. It's not. No. No.
No, nigga. No. 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 Nigga. No.
But Araki believing that part 6 would be the ending to JoJo's Bizarre Adventures is what led to Steel Ball Run coming out. Because when Steel Ball Run originally came out on its first run on Shonen Jump, it didn't have the JoJo's Bizarre Adventures brand. It didn't get that until I think 20, 30 chapters in, when he made his decision that part 7 would be a part of JoJo's. It would just be in a different universe. And I really do feel like it's well explained in part 6, if not implied, that Pucci didn't win, his plan didn't work, and everything essentially went back to normal. The only difference is they're still alive. Now, there's one thing I am questioning about. I don't know if Irene and all the part 6 alternate versions we see at the end of part 6 have the same stance as Jolene, Jotaro. And another thing, this is one of the last things I want to say to cap this video off. If the characters from the end of part 6 existed in the new universe, you don't think we would have saw them or heard them or got at least a mention of them in part 8 or part 9 or something? Like, I don't understand how this is still a problem, especially with part 6 being animated and you can literally go watch part 6 and go, actually listen to it and hear Araki basically explain it through Pucci and basically every other character that, and through the visuals that, Pucci did not win. He did not win. He did not get the alternate universe he wanted to. Everything it's the same. Everything's the same. He doesn't exist in this universe anymore. But yeah.
Hey y'all. The first thing I have to say is thank y'all from the bottom of my heart for 1,000 subs. The second thing is the grind never stops. We're not stopping. New content on the way on all platforms. Now that that's out the way, there's nothing that makes me angrier than a damn part skipper. Now, you may sit here and ask yourself, well, why does that make you so angry? And I'll give you the answer right here, right now. It's just fucking dumb. Listen, bro, I've never met someone who just starts a show. It could be any show. It could be fucking Breaking Bad, for example. And they're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna skip to season 3. I heard season 1 and 2 ain't that good. At that point, just don't watch it. I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying, what sense does that make? I feel the same for JoJo's part skippers. Brother, why are you skipping to part 3, then you're skipping part 4 and watching part 5, then you're skipping part 6 just to read part 7, then you don't read part 8, but you read part 9. Not only are you getting all the information at different times, your timeline is probably going to be out of whack because you don't know anything that happens before or after. You don't know that every part is kind of significant to the previous part in some way, shape, or form. You already know there's going to be people that are just like, oh, well, what about part 4? How is part 4 significant to any part? Part 4 is significant to part 3 because in part 4, Josuke got sick, the same illness that his half-sister, Holly, Jotaro's mom, got. Except he ended up getting a stand. And really, this is for part 4 skippers in general. You're skipping one of the best parts in JoJo. What's wrong with you? I've talked to a lot of the JoJo community, and a lot of people, they just be like, oh, well, it's basically filler. It's just stuck, it's placed in the small town. So, for one, you get reoccurring characters. You get to see what Jotaro was doing when he got older, what happened with Joseph, and we just get to learn more about how stands work, where the stands, not where they come from, we don't learn that yet, but we do learn about stand arrows and how people get stands. We learn that there's different levels of stands that you can get and you can evolve your stand. Part 4 is important. Let's just stop. And in part 6, skipping part 6 should be an actual literal crime. I'm not gonna lie to you. Honestly, it's just skipping any of them. Skipping any part at all should be a crime. Cause why? And it's not like you're skipping them because they're too long or whatever. You just want to see stands. You suck. Bro, I just couldn't imagine seeing all the events of part 3, seeing old man Joseph, seeing everything, seeing part 3 Dio before I saw part 1 Dio and met young Joseph and actually knew the story of Dio and why he's the way that he is. And the Part 8 skippers, I have some words for y'all. I don't understand how you can watch/read an entire series all the way up damn near till the end and then get right at basically the end, close to the end, and just skip the shit. And then read Part 9. How are you talking about Part 9 when you don't know anything that happened in Josuke's story? You don't know anything that happened in Morio. You know what? I don't know, bro. It's just wild to me because really you're only enjoying, if you're a real part skipper, you're only enjoying like half the series. That's not how the series was made to watch. It was linear. You know what I mean? That's all I have today. If you liked the video, please leave a like, leave a comment. Hey, maybe even leave a sub. But until next time, peace.
Alright, y'all. Welcome back to the channel. And today, it's time to talk about something I love talking about on TikTok, which is simply the fact that Part 1 wasn't even that bad. Scratch that. It just wasn't bad. Like, when thinking about Part 1, me personally, I think back, I'm like, yo, there was so much action filled within Part 1 throughout those 9 episodes that it was just crazy. Like, even when you look at the first episode, really just think back to the first episode. We saw a fight. Granted, there was no superpowers or whatever. There wasn't any hormone. But them niggas was throwing hands. They were. And if I'm being honest, in Part 1, I don't think there was an episode where you don't see somebody throwing hands. And if they aren't like having an actual fight, they're training. And if they aren't training, you're seeing this nigga Dio do something maniacal, something vicious, something insane. Like, for example, and if I can find it, I'll put it on screen, when he basically ensured to one of the women that her baby wouldn't be eaten by them, just to turn her into a vampire and watch her in front of his face eat her own baby and become one of his minions. Mind you, he saw that and he just didn't care. Like, not even in the slightest. He did not even care. I'm pretty sure all he said was, well, we said we wouldn't eat him. Then he started laughing. And in all honesty, just watching that made me just more hooked on the show than I was before. Seeing Dio like that, just seeing how sinister this nigga was getting, I was really locked in on Part 1 because I wanted Jonathan to win. Throughout all of Part 1, I wanted Jonathan to win. And in all honesty, I feel like that was another thing JoJo did well. It was like just setting up how like the heroes interact with the villains, and mainly how Jonathan and Dio's like backstory and his pure undying hatred for the Joestars. Part 1 was really the setup, but it still felt like it was still good. Where I feel like a lot of disconnects comes with like fans, and it just feels like a lot of fans were expecting so much more with Part 1, because when you hear about JoJo, you hear about the memes, you hear about all these different things, all the different weird things you'll see in it. Then you start watching Part 1 and you're like, well, why the hell am I in the 1800s with British men? And as you continue to watch Part 1, a lot of people's expectations of Part 1 go down, and their expectations of the series go down because they feel like Part 1 isn't bizarre enough, or it just didn't hit hard enough. When in reality, watching Part 1 for like the second time, because after I watched it the first time, I was already locked in. But the second time I watched it, I was still locked in, but I was locked in more. My rating of Part 1 actually went up the second time I watched it, because this time I wasn't expecting to go through and watch the whole series and not know what's going to happen. I've watched the series multiple times. I know what's going to happen. But when I watched Part 1 again, there was a lot of things I forgot. Then I was just seeing again. I was like, oh, that's insane. Like, for example, the cast in Part 1 is small, but when we do see deaths, they're so impactful that it really punches you. Will Zeppeli's death low-key does punch you, because you see this man who knew his fate the entire time. He never let JoJo know about it. He knew his fate the entire time. He knew that at the end, he was going to die a very bad death. But even through that, his nobility allowed him to still be like, you know what? Even though I just got cut in half, I'm still about to give this nigga all my energy. Just gotta have so much faith in him to win. And don't get me wrong, for the most part, part one feels like this classic ass story. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, the heroes, they're chasing this super bad guy who gave up his humanity and he's about to take over the world. He has his own legion of zombies. They're chasing him down. But the man on the other side, he's so strong, he's so noble, and that nigga just won't give up like he's fucking Superman, that he just keeps coming back and fighting Dio again and again and again, all the way until the end. And really for me, what solidified part one as being one of them ones was deadass the ending. The ending was such a plot twist, because while you do see Dio survive, I don't think anyone really expected Dio to be on the ship that Jonathan was on. Not only that, be there and be ready to wreck everything with ease. And the only reason he was able to wreck everything is because Jonathan's guard was down. It's his wedding night. He's thinking he's fine. His wife is pregnant. He is thinking he's about to live his best life on the way to America, and it's all taken away from him. That was definitely a gut punch. Like, watching it for the first time, it's a gut punch. Watching it again, it's still a gut punch. Cause it's like, man, this nigga actually struggled his last, 10, 11, 12 years of life because Dio just didn't like him. And when you get to the end of Jonathan's story and you see this man literally use his last moments, his last strength to hold his brother like this, you finally get the ending of Jonathan's character arc, and you would think it's the ending of Dio until it pops back out. And really, that's like the main reason why I always feel like part one was really better than a lot of people give credit for. Part one is still a great story. It just felt like a lot of people didn't want to hear about Jonathan's story because they were so interested on hearing about Stan's, or just more. But that's all I got for today. Honestly, I just wanted to talk about part one. I won't lie to y'all. But if y'all enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you. Okay, y'all. Welcome back. And we're at the end of 2024. Me personally, I made the second half of 2024 my personal year in multiple ways. But going from 2024 to the big 2025 and still mischaracterizing Jotaro Kujo is actually insane. Now, if you know anything about me, I'm not the biggest Jotaro fan, but it's mainly Jotaro anime fan, part 3 anime fan. That's really the part where I'm not the biggest fan of Jotaro. But with me not being the biggest fan, I still understand his character, and I feel like when it comes to a lot of JoJo fans, they either, one, don't want to understand his character, or two, just see a tough, big, swole, tough nigga and just like, yep, that's my new red pill merchant. When in all reality, Jotaro is basically the most heroic Joestar we have. Sorry, Jonathan. Well, through the actions we've seen and the fact that we've seen Jotaro live, well, a full life for Joestars. But the thing with Jotaro is that a lot of people just see him as this tough guy who doesn't care about nobody and who doesn't give a fuck about nobody, and he's just going to do his shit. He wants to be left alone and he doesn't want to be bothered. Partially all that is true, but what people don't understand is that this man in real life was a softie. Like, he was real life a softie. When he would tell his mom all those curse words, tell her to F off, call her beware, all that, bro, he was trying to get his mom away from him because he was scared of the evil spirit, which turned out to be Star Platinum, his stand. He was scared of the evil spirit, and he didn't want anyone else to have to deal with that. Any of the people he cared about to have to deal with that. That's a basic one. I feel like when I talk about his mom and Jotaro, a lot of people, there are people that understand it. There's a lot of people that understand it now, and then versus the people that don't. You know what I mean? And that's a lot more basic of a concept to break down, other than the complicated relationship between him and Jolene. Because those are usually the two big issues when it comes to the mischaracterization of Jotaro, which I don't get, because in part 6, you get Jotaro's character pretty fleshed out and you see it really well. But anyway, when it comes to Jotaro and Jolene, there's like a variety of jokes. There was people who said he cared more about his dolphins than him in the ocean. There were people that said he cared more about Koichi than Jolene. It was like, I saw a lot of that, and there was people that said he didn't care about Jolene. And breaking all that down, because I am going to, we'll start off with why was Jotaro not around for Jolene's childhood? Well, Jotaro, it was clear that Jotaro's first thought was, if I stay away from my family, and all the stand users, they follow anyone with a stand. The stronger your stand is, the more you attract. If you're just a stand user, you'll attract other stand users. My best bet is just to leave my wife and my daughter at home while I go do what I have to do for work. Now, is it wrong of him to not call that much, or all the extra stuff he should have been doing? Yes, that was very wrong. But he thought that was the best way to protect his family and make sure nothing were to happen to him. That's why in Stone Ocean, the first time we see him, he shows up at the prison. And when he shows up at the prison, he's all business. He's literally just trying to get her out. He's not thinking about nothing else except getting her out. Because I have a feeling that he just knew that them being in the prison was bad news, because you're in an enclosed area with potentially a destructive stand that you know nothing about, and you don't know who has the stand power. You don't know if it's long range, you don't know if it's short range. You don't know if a guard's going to walk by you and just snipe you. You don't know. But that was just one part of part 6. That was the early part of part 6. Let's talk about the later part of part 6, where we really see it on Showcase how much he cares about Jolene. The first time we see him back, he dodges a bullet for Jolene. He stops time for her and dodges a bullet for her. Just because he knew if he didn't stop that time, she would have got shot. And then after that, he gets the most key question of all of Stone Ocean, which is being asked if someone can marry your daughter. That nigga's so wild. But nah, seriously, by the end of part 6, the Man in Heaven events start happening. And once they start happening, the last thing Pucci says to this man is, you were 2 steps behind because of your daughter. Meaning this nigga chose his daughter over the universe, because he knew if he let his daughter die, he could not live in the universe. He just couldn't. And like, I don't plan on making this video even a long video, because who Jotaro Kujo is very easy to explain. He has a caring, big heart, but he does not want to showcase it because of the danger that he's constantly in, and that he understood that he was constantly in once he first got the power. That's why even in a part like part 4, Jotaro makes a decent amount of saves. He saved Koichi, he saved basically the whole town. Him and Koichi, they both helped save the whole town. You know, he is a caring team player. He just doesn't want people to get hurt, people weaker than him to get hurt that he cares about. But he masked that with a tough guy act. But you can see through it given his actions. I'm pretty sure that was the whole purpose Araki gave Jotaro, at least in the later parts. Even in the manga, you could see it, because Araki, he actually had the facial expressions that the anime they just didn't deliver on. You know what I mean? But that's all for me. That's all I got. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on next. Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. And today I got a real interesting idea for y'all, because I was just sitting here thinking about it yesterday. After I made that video yesterday, I was just like, man, what else could I talk about? Then it hit me. This man, Hirohiko Araki, always puts very interesting and surprising real-world historical events into his parts. And today we're going to go through some of them. Really not even go through some of them, just talk about the use of them within the part. Because sometimes it's really good, and sometimes you're just looking at Araki like, why is that there? And like, we could really just start off with part 1. And because I don't know if a lot of y'all remember part 1, I have some memory of part 1, and there are 2 real events I want to talk about. First one being Jack the Ripper, and how historically, he just be going crazy. But in the anime, he got turned into a vampire and started going crazy, which I feel like Araki doing that, it was only to further push Dio up and like make people realize how much of an evil threat Dio actually is. The same with Dio gaining the guards or the knights of that one queen in part 1 who got assassinated. You know, they were just trying to, well, obviously that's not historically accurate, but they were just trying to man, I can't remember their names. If I remember them, they'll be up on the screen. But through their backstory, that was how they got their strength. That was how they got so much stronger. That's why you see them once they come back. They pledge their allegiance to Dio because he brought them back. But now all that's burning in their heart is just vengeance because they died after being tricked by an entire kingdom. And they died believing they were going to protect their queen. But going through the series, that's like light stuff compared to part 2, because part 2 you get the German political party of 1938 through 1945. And almost everything that is talked about of the German political party of 1938 through 1945 is historically accurate. Except this time we actually get a character, and that character ended up being von Stroheim, which that's a whole different video. How I feel about von Stroheim, I'll give y'all a little sneak peek. I don't really care for him at all. Like, when I saw him initially, I was just like, I don't see myself liking von Stroheim. And of course, you could be like, oh, well, he helped save the world. But like, at the end of the day, yes, he did. But then he went right back to messing the world right back up. Like, he went right back to it. It was literally said at the end of part 2, he went right straight back to the army. Him saving the world ain't changed shit. But look at part 5. Araki, he's well known to give you historical settings and like historical places that his characters will go to. Like in part 5, they go to Papeli, which is the ancient city that was once located in Naples. They even tell you about how the volcano eruption and everything happened in that ancient city in, I think it's 79 after death. Something crazy like that. Speaking of setting, I had to change settings because it was like low-key getting a little loud where I was last time. But Araki uses setting in his stories to tell a story within a story, if that makes sense. Like, one thing I'm pretty sure is that before he writes a part or whatever, he goes to the place that he was going to write about. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure he went to Italy. I know he went to Egypt before he made Stardust Crusaders. And then part 4 was based off of his small town growing up. And while using those historically accurate events, he'll take conflicts that go on during that time and put them into his story, which is why we saw World War II as a big conflict in part 2. But the way he uses like historical events or real life groups and people and all that to further push the story and to further push the characters that he's created is very good. He used it in a way to where you know that's not what they were doing in real life, but it's not like he's tarnishing their name within his manga or he's really doing anything different, something that they would do in real life within his manga. Then we get to part 6, and with part 6, for those of you, I'm just gonna warn y'all, I'm talking about the Triple K. I'm talking about the Triple K. I'm gonna let y'all know right now. And in part 6, the Triple K eventually gets called because it's a long story, but Pucci, he didn't know he had a brother, or like a brother that was alive. So his twin brother, who ended up being adopted by a black man, ends up dating their sister, like their younger sister, who's like, I think she's like 15, 16, and then the twin brother and Pucci, they're like 18. And Pucci, he's like, yeah, I gotta break them up. So he calls this random white man to help him break them up, and then it turns into a mob, a Triple K mob. That's not good. But I will say this. When Araki introduced it, not only was I surprised and shocked, I was very, and I was shocked because I just didn't think he would go that direction. I had no thoughts within my mind where like, oh yeah, they about to pull up. I never thought that. So then once they do pull up and you see the panel and you see everything that happens to Poochie's twin brother Wes, you see everything that happens to Wes, you're just like, oh my God. But honestly, the use of it was good because he used it at the right time. It's not like he used it on someone who has a stand and then now you're just seeing the stand user barbecue Triple K members, which I'm not saying I wouldn't pay good money to see, but he used it in more of a, I guess you could say, accurate way for the time, because that was the 90s? He used it in a more accurate way than having them get crucified or whatever the case is. And really the final thing I really want to talk about in this video, because all of these things, they've been on my mind, but the final one was the fact that Jesus shows up in part 7. If you don't know, I'm sorry I just spoiled you, but he does show up. He's there. He shows up. And when he shows up, I will say this, it makes perfect sense just because of part 7 and what basically the premise of part 7 is about. The whole premise of part 7 is getting this man's body. You're trying to get the Holy Corpse. That's what everyone's chasing for. That's what Funny Valentine's looking for. That's what Diego starts looking for. Everybody wants it for different reasons. And I would say the reasons are pretty valid, honestly. That's when Araki, he makes, I feel like part 7, everyone has some validity to what they want. It's just how they go about getting what they want, you know what I mean? But the way he uses the Holy Corpse, and he never like specifically outright says that it's Jesus, he never specifically outright says really much about that character. He just has him, I think it only appeared, once or twice, just to help Johnny, you know what I mean? But that's all I have for today. If y'all enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We're on the way to 2K, so please like it up. See ya. Alright, y'all. Welcome back to the channel. Today I think I have a good one for y'all. We have what the hell is wrong with Diablo / what was wrong with Diablo. If you saw my last video, go watch it if you haven't, but like it'll be more of that because I did one on Kira, but I chose Kira and Diablo because they were like two of the most mentally unstable people in JoJo that I could think of, you know what I mean? Diablo / Doppio, I still don't know which one came first, but them, they were very devious, like out the womb type devious. Diablo or Doppio, I think it was Doppio first. Whatever, they came out the womb, eyes wide open. Not a blink, a cry, a smile, just staring, daggers at the doctor. What? That's like sign number 1. There might be something wrong with your baby. You know, if your child comes out just staring straight, might be a little bit something off. But like going through his life, he grew up in a small town till he was 18. I'm pretty sure Doppio came first. It was no way Diablo was there. But small town till he's 18. And then the priest that houses him finds his mother. And once he finds out the priest found his mother, mind you, his mother's in a crazy state. He burns down the church. The church. Mind you, this nigga just found out he was about to have a kid. He burned down the church. But I think that was the start of like Diablo coming out more, because like I'm pretty sure after he left there, he just immediately went into the mafia stuff. Like immediately. But like think about that too. If he was young, right? Like I'm pretty sure he was 18 when he burned down his home orphanage / church. But when he was young and he got into the mafia shit, was he just using Doppio all the time until he got to the top? And how did he get to the top without no one finding out his name or even knowing what he saw? Like, what did he do that just gave him the respect to just say, all right, this nigga, he's our capo. He's at the top, completely at the top. He's the boss. Like, I've always wondered that, because like, how do you go from, oh, I just moved here, to, yeah, now I run this organization? That's a big jump. What were you doing? But the thing with both of them is like, once they got older, it was more clear that Diablo was running the show, and he just was pulling Doppio's strings. Cause like, when you get to the actual series, this nigga Doppio don't even know Diablo's name. They share a body. He just calls him the boss, like everyone else, cause he genuinely doesn't know who it is. And the ringing shit he hears in his ears is probably Diablo. Fake it. It literally is Diablo. It's Diablo calling him, when in all reality, he could dead ass just talk to him. But he's not doing that because he doesn't even want his own counterpart to know his identity. Do you know how crazy that? But they already had this dynamic within their mind, because it was clear there was a dynamic that like Diablo was ahead, Doppio was his underboss, was his right hand man. That was always how they operated. You know what I mean? So then once we get to like the end and we see Diablo and Doppio be separated for the first time, and Doppio ends up dying, you see this nigga calling out to his boss, when in reality he's just calling out to his other personality. But the thing to note about both of them, they both were like insane tweakers, you know what I mean? Because either way, it didn't matter which one who had King Crimson at the time, whether it's Doppio or Diablo. Just know one thing: King Crimson is going to start yelling and tweaking, and then he's going to try to kill you. Especially like when you look at the last few episodes, Passion had already made him mad. That group had already made him mad. I think, like, I understand now why he was just sneaking them niggas. Because he knew that they were, like, too well-oiled of a machine. You know what I mean? And he knew that Giorno was just a wild card. Never seen his stand for real. Never seen him in action like that. Wild card. But just because I understand it doesn't mean this nigga wasn't still mentally insane. He was, like, the way King Crimson would tweak, it would make Kira look like a sane person. You know what I mean? I've never seen a Stan just start yelling at his opponent, calling them worms in a high fashion. Just because not only do they find out your identity, but they're also about to take his dream that Diablo had been waiting for so long. Like, I know he was sick when the stand arrow that he had in his hand slipped right through him because he decided he was not worthy. Wait, no. It slipped through him because of Silver Chariot Requiem's powers. But we all know the ending Diablo met, the boss persona met, because Doppio just died. Diablo, he has a long time of dying coming ahead of him. And if I'm being honest, do I feel like it's completely deserved that he's just going to spend his eternity dying over and over and over again? Not really. Just because of how extreme the punishment is. But at the same time, he was the same guy like trying to sell to kids just to make extra money. But yeah, that's all I got for today. If you like the video, make sure you leave it a comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. On the road to 2K, so please like it up. Peace. All right, y'all, welcome back. And today I have a very interesting topic for y'all. It is, why didn't Cars, the supreme ultimate being, use his brain throughout most of Battle Tendencies? Now, if there's one character y'all never see me talk about, it's definitely Cars, because like, I really do love Part 2, but if there's someone I'm going to talk about Part 2, it's usually Joseph, Lisa, Caesar, Wamu. Because with Cars, he didn't do much except there was the fight with Von Stroheim and Joseph. Then there was the final fight where he went against Lisa and that turned to Joseph versus him. But it was just like, during those fights, he wasn't doing much still. And it looked like he was using his brain, but he wasn't. And I'm going to start back, all the way back to when he just killed the rest of his tribe. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Cars was very dumb for that. He was very stupid for that. It was already clear that he was the strongest. If it wasn't clear he was the strongest, he wouldn't have just murdered. He wouldn't have ran through most of his tribe, right? And humans aren't even there yet. They have one weakness, which is the sun. And all of them, they're just like, nah, we don't want to walk in the sun. And he's like, well, then, you don't follow my plan, you're going to die. That's dumb. Because let's say that he doesn't kill them, and then humans finally eventually come. By the time humans first come, this nigga it's an instant kill. Like, imagine, because he was already struggling against Harmon users of the past. Imagine him with a whole 25, 30 group of people taking down Harmon users. And for y'all be like, oh, but they said they didn't want to do it. He's the strongest. How are they going to stop him? Like, it felt like he just, like, wanted everyone on the same page, like, as a dictator from day one, because of how egotistical and everything he was. But that's not moving smart. That's moving very, very dumb. Like, very dumb. Then he gets unsealed, and he's not taking shit serious. Don't get me wrong. He's chasing down the red stone, but he's having the two niggas under him chase it down for him, which, again, if he didn't kill his whole tribe, he would have like 5 or 6 niggas, maybe 7 niggas under him that all survived in the stone until then, chasing down Caesar, Lisa, and Joseph, but he didn't. But part 2 is not that long, so we don't get to see as much as some would want. But throughout what we did see in part 2, we don't really see him doing much. For most of the part, it starts off with Wamu and AC/DC, and they're moving everywhere, and it makes sense because, you know, he's a leader, he's giving out orders. That makes sense. But once you saw who went down first, was it AC/DC? I think it was AC/DC. Once you saw AC/DC go down to Joseph, that would have been perfect time to step in. Why would you wait till after Wamu? Again, I'm gonna give credit. He was underestimating like shit. He's still one of the smartest people in the franchise. He just makes a lot of dumb decisions because he's egotistical. But like, if I know I'm the strongest nigga there, and I know my underlings that I look at as little brothers, I know they can't compete. I'm not letting them compete. I'm not waiting so that I can catch Joseph off guard so I can stab Lisa. I'm not doing that. He waited. And then we finally get Cars versus Lisa, which what he did actually was smart against Lisa, where he threw after images at her and snuck her. Cool. Joseph, though, he wanted to make it painful. He wanted to make it hurt more, all that. Because Joseph just took away all the rest of his companions. Like, literally, he took away the rest of his companions. But again, why are you doing that? You have the power to not give them ultimatums, not give them decisions, to just go over there and just knock him down. Because again, they're on a super high, what was it? I forget what they were on. They were on something super high. Cars could have just knocked him down. Threw Lisa off. Well, he did throw Lisa off, but Joseph, he had a plan for that. Because he waited so long. Why are you waiting and talking for minutes? Giving him decisions, telling him to hurry up, make a decision. Oh, either you jump or she's going. Like, but him doing all that, that's what leads to him losing that fight and him getting expeditiously mad Because if I'm being honest with you, after he lost and he fell into the ground with spikes, the fact that no one went over there and like checked him, seeing what he had, seeing if he was still alive, everyone just presumed this nigga was dead or almost dead, and they just had to disintegrate his body. Why would the ultimate being be almost dead? But anyway, Karashi achieved what he was always looking to achieve by the end of part 2, which again, that's good, but I won't say it's smart, because a lot of other Joestars throughout JoJo, they're not letting Kars get that off. He's not getting that stone mask. They would have checked him. They would have, if it was part 5, that he would have got a lot. A lot would have been done to him before he ever got the chance to pull that stone mask on. But yeah, he becomes the ultimate being. He has all the power in the world. He's the strongest person in the world, strongest being in the world. And you know what he does with that power? The first thing he does, instead of enacting your plan of world dominance, you're going to spend your time chasing a 19-year-old because you're pissed that he almost killed you. I'm going to say this again. You're chasing down a 19-year-old because you're mad he almost killed you. That's bad. That's bad, especially when you could just do the hostage shit again, except this time you can fly. You can create anything, any animal or plant or anything you want. You can create it on your body. Why wouldn't you just take someone like Smokey or Speedwagon or Lisa again as a hostage? But he allows himself to get lured to a volcano. This nigga Joseph, initially he tricks him into going into the volcano and he almost dies again. His power now is just so OP that he knew what he had to do to survive. But he almost died again. He was getting burned into fucking lava. Jumps out, takes Joseph's hand off. You're just like, oh, wait, is it over? Is Kars about to win? Now, this is the part where I feel like there was no luck on Kars' side and just all luck on Joseph's side. Because we all know what happened at the end of part 2. And honestly, that wasn't on Kars. Kars didn't have nothing to do with that. Couldn't control it. But what was on him was all the events leading up to it. Why are you just... It just felt like he was going with the flow to a point and he didn't have a real plan. Because look at Poochie. Poochie had a real plan. He had a real fucking plan. Kars, however, because he was born so strong and so egotistical and so self-righteous, he felt like he didn't need a plan. He the strongest nigga there either way. He don't need a plan. But he did. Because if he didn't do what he did at the end, where he just let his blind rage take over, he probably wins. Not gonna lie. But yeah, that's all I have for y'all today. Make sure if you like the video, leave it a like, comment, and subscribe. We're on the road to 2K, so please like it up. Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel, and today I have a good one for y'all. Today we are going to talk about why I personally love the JoJo art style. Because if I'm being honest, the JoJo art style helped me want to continue my own art journey. Now, when talking about the JoJo art style, it's important to realize that Araki, in his main art style that you'll see, he has many different ones. You can see the change shift from there's part 1 through 3, there's part 4 through really late part 5, part 6, and then there's part 7 through part 9, which we see now. If I'm being honest, my personal favorite for the anime is the 4 through 6 animation, and then for the manga so far, it's definitely 7 through 9. That right there, Araki, ever since he got to Steel Ball Run, he's been tweaking when it comes to the actual art. Because don't get me wrong, he went crazy on the part 4, 5, 6, all those manga arts. But part 7, different breed. But when talking about the art style, though there are many people that do love it, there's always been an underlying hatred for it, because there's a lot of people who will just be getting into anime or they'll say they won't watch JoJo strictly because of the art style, and they don't like how it looks. Which, in my opinion, I never got that. I always thought the art style looked great. It was just the show originally. I didn't see any reason to click on it until someone convinced me to watch it. But for me, at least, when it comes to the art style, I think it's really because of how unique it is and how intricate it is to draw. Because whenever I do draw any JoJo's character, I've drawn Josuke, for example. It's very intricate, but once you get the hang of it, it's not that hard. But it's also beautiful to look at depending on what you're drawing. Because it's a lot of panels in JoJo that someone could draw. You just be like, man, are you sure this is from JoJo? And with the art style, it's one of the few to get put in museums and get put in different places. People all over the world have been calling Araki just to put more art. He has art in the Louvre. He has art. He has collabs. He has all of these different moves to come with his art because people love it so much. I know recently, I think it was this year, he had a art piece come out called The Fountain Boy. Like, I forget where it was. I'm pretty sure I could find it, but like, it was crazy. To be a mangaka and have Gucci trying to collab with you, you have the Louvre, you're putting artwork in the Louvre, you're getting artwork, you're getting whole art pieces and sections dedicated to you and your art. That's insane. Like, I think the only thing I personally find wrong with the art style is the way Araki draws feet half the time, hands some of the time, because sometimes you look in the manga, like I'll be reading part 4, I'll see Josuke's hand, that shit just look like a meat cleaver. I'm like, what's going on, bro? And sometimes the way he draws, especially in the manga, it'll be too cluttered to really understand what's going on. Like yesterday, I was reading part 5, volume 8, watching the Seko versus Bucciarati fight, and I'm reading it, I'm like, whoa, what is going on? Because it's all getting clustered up on a page as the fight's going on. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Araki. I can't get it. But I also feel like with that, he got better as the years went by, because it's still about run. I really didn't have that problem. Neither in Stone Ocean, and I haven't. It's been sometimes in part 8, I won't lie, it's been sometimes in part 8, I'm just like, what am I reading? But it never gets that clunky to where I'm really confused on what I'm reading. But when it comes to art styles and art evolution throughout the years, because reading the manga throughout the years and watching the anime, you can see how the art style grows and changes. We go from these buff ass men to now these niggas is skinny as shit. Or like there was a transition period, which was really like early part 4 to late part 4. Went on mid part 4. Then from like part 4 to part 6, you see niggas a little strong. Then part 7, part 8, and part 9, niggas is skinny with an entirely different art style than we saw at the beginning. But at the end of the day, I still love all 3 art styles because I find all of them crazy. Now, earlier, he did need some anatomy work, I won't lie. But the art styles hit different. But yeah, y'all, that's all I got for y'all today. If you like the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that follow button. We're on the road to 2K. I'm not gonna lie, Araki did a great job at convincing me I would never want to live in any type of JoJo part at all. Listen, bro, the thing with JoJo characters is that they go through hard-ass lives. You don't even have to be the main character. You could be a side character. You could be the villain. You're still gonna have a hard-ass life. The only villains who don't are the ones who are pure fucking evil. Like, there's no way around it. But the first type of person I wouldn't want to be in the JoJo verse is any type of civilian. Listen, you may think, oh, that's crazy, but it's not. The civilians, it was times when the civilians, they would become collateral damage so quick. Like we saw Josuke's mom and his grandfather. If you were even remotely important to a stand user and they needed some type of leverage on that stand user, they're kidnapping you. Like, people were getting kidnapped in parts. Don't even get me started on Hayato's ass. That nigga, he died like 3 times He died 3 times throughout part 4. It was so ridiculous. I watched that, I'm like, ain't no way he's still alive. At least we could say his last death put Josuke's stats up. It's on top of the fact that these stand battles they have are 99% of the time in public. Hundreds of people around, and they don't care. So let's just say you're walking past and a stand user literally just boom smacks into you. You're cooked, buddy. You're cooked. There's nothing saving you at all. The second type of person I wouldn't want to be is a villain. You're telling me I done spent 20 plus years, 25 plus years, however old those villains be, because JoJo villains, they low-key be old as shit. However old they be, you spent so much time protecting your goal just for a random ass teenager who just awoke in his power, 15, 16, 17, to hunt you down and kill you for the fun of it. Like Poochie, he had that plan since he was 17. He was in his 40s in part 6. And everything got messed up by an 11-year-old. Do you understand how heated I would be in the afterlife? You're telling me I was this close to winning. I was actually the closest of everyone else to winning. And then an 11-year-old who stole my brother's stand just kills me. Wow. And these villains, we're talking about the human ones. They're in their like 40s and or like 30s, late 40s. It's not even just him. Diablo, he got caught by Giorno at 15. So you're telling me these villains in their late 30s, early 40s, you know, at least the human ones, they've been around so long. They've been perfecting their stand for so long. They've been ready. They've been taking people out for 10, 20, 30 years. Some been taking people out from birth. And this 14-year-old gonna waltz in and just kill me? Like, I'm sorry if I'm restaying this a lot, but like, I just couldn't deal with it. I would be so mad that I really died to a teenager. I would start crashing out in the afterlife. Before we get to the last one I wouldn't want to be, we have to talk about one more. Zeppeli. Zeppeli get their own category for how much I just wouldn't want to be them. They actually might be first on the list because, man, I've never seen a Zeppeli make it out of the part. There's never been a Zeppeli to actually make it out of their part that they got introduced in. And they're all slated to have horrible deaths. Even Caesar's father, his father had a horrible death. He didn't even get to have an adventure. There was no adventure for him. He just died. Caesar, he got out of there. That was one of the most emotional deaths in JoJo I have seen till this day in part 2. Will, he got out of there. This is part 7 spoilers, but Gyro, he got too. None of them are safe. None of them really have too much of a chance. If you see a Zeppeli on screen, it doesn't matter if they're a big part or a small part, it's over for them. But shout out to Zeppelis though. They the realest in JoJo. Honestly, they're the realest. Ride or dies for life, and they always become the JoJo's best friend. Ride or die. Now finally, the last thing I wouldn't want to be in the JoJo universe at all is a damn Joestar. Being a Joestar is kind of like signing up to have a tragic life, like, if I'm being honest, because you can say, oh, well, Josuke's life wasn't that bad, which it still was pretty bad. Really think about it. He grew up with his mom and his grandpa. He didn't know his father at all. He never saw him till he was 16. And by the time he saw him, he realized he was a 80-some-year-old man. His grandfather died in part 4. His mom got kidnapped, I'm pretty sure, one time. One of his friends died. He thought his best friend died. He went through a lot. And he's the one who had the best life. Don't get me started on someone like Jolene, or Jotaro, or Jonathan, or Joseph, or Johnny. All of those Joestars lived extremely hard and difficult lives until they literally died. Like, for example, Jotaro. He is the second longest living Joestar in canon, I'm pretty sure. He lived to like, what, 40? He lived in turmoil. He lived his life in turmoil just from getting Star Platinum. If he doesn't get Star Platinum, and Dio never comes back, he gets to live the rest of his life as a normal person like he was before. Well, normal for a Joestar. But nah, he gets Star Platinum. Now he was in part 3. He was the main person in part 3. Then in part 4, he was one of the main reasons why they stopped Kira. Then in part 5, he's the main reason we get introduced to Giorno. Then in part 6, he goes to Stone Ocean Prison to help his daughter. Mind you, this same daughter that he hasn't been able to talk to or see like that, because he knows Stan users attract other Stan users. And he knows if he was to be with his family all the time, it would just bring danger right to his door. Not to mention in part 3, he lost multiple friends. His grandfather died once, and he almost died. He literally stopped his heart. Like all the Joestars, every last one of them is built different. Because if I went through anything any of them went through, I would be a menace. Because the thing is with them, shit just happens. They don't control nothing. It's literally just fate. But those are 4 different things in JoJo I just wouldn't be. I couldn't be. But until next time, I'll see y'all. Peace.